All right. Good evening, everyone. It's 7 o'clock, and I'd like to call together the September 11th, 2025 school committee meeting. If you would please rise and join me in the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Justice. At this point in time, I would just ask for a brief moment of silence and remember it's September 11th. Thank you. This evening, we have a consent agenda posted, which is the minutes from our May 29th, 2025 meeting, as well as the oath to bills and payroll. Do want to alert the school committee of a possible change. If you so wish to entertain, we have an appointment here, candidate for a seat on the finance committee, school committee appointment. So if it's okay with us, I'd like to add that to the agenda this evening so that we can hear from our candidate.
Yes, please.
Absolutely. All right, so we have a motion made by Janine and seconded by Sean. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. So with that one change, we'll move forward into our meeting. This is our first opportunity for interested citizens. I have a prepared remark that I would like to read as part of interested citizens, and then I would like to open the floor up for anyone that would like to speak before the school committee. But you would just bear with me while I try to find this. Thank you. I acknowledge that I'm going to read something and it's probably not going to come across the most personal way to address the audience, but I wanted to make sure that I had an opportunity to gather my thoughts and not leave anything out. So apologize, this might not be the best delivery, but it's the only way I can ensure that I'm not going to leave anything out, like I said. So without any further ado, I have heard from many of you regarding the district's recent statement on political violence. I want to begin by acknowledging and respecting the concerns that have been raised. Many have asked why a statement was made in this case, but not following other tragedies, including school shootings or the deaths of other public figures. This is absolute valid feedback. Our intent was never to compare tragedies or elevate one above another, and we do certainly not ever seek to make political statements. The statement was issued because the incident unfolded so publicly, and images and horrific videos of it have circulated so widely among young people via social media, including students in our own community. For many of our students and families, it was a disturbing and immediate reminder of the harm that violence causes in society. Because of its publicly circulated nature among our students, we chose to affirm to our community that violence in any form must never be tolerated as a means of expressing belief or disagreement. However, although the intent may have been good, the message was incomplete and inconsiderate in its content, and therefore its impact was hurtful and harmful. And for that, I am deeply, deeply sorry. What we missed saying in the message, and I would like to add now, is that while we do not condone political or violence of any nature, and that we extend our thoughts and deep condolences for all families that have been affected by violence in this way, not specifically Charlie Kirk. Just yesterday, high school students were victims to an unimaginable tragedy, and yet again, a horrific case of gun violence in schools. Political violence was also recently and tragically displayed against Melissa Hartman and her husband, Clementa Pinckney and Paul Pelosi and others. We know that the current political environment and recent violence is creating divisiveness within our country and communities. And we are deeply sorry for the divisiveness that message created within our own community yesterday. The message should have named the district's condemnation of violence against all political figures, as well as the students that have recently suffered these tragedies, and not just one. And reaffirm our commitment to supporting the community and our students in processing the many tragedies that continue to take place. As school leadership, we will reflect on how we can approach these moments with greater thought, compassion, and future. Our schools must remain a place where students and families feel safe, valued, and respected, regardless of their viewpoints. That is at the heart of our mission. Moving forward, we will work to ensure that our words and our actions reflect that commitment and that Littleton stands firmly against violence towards anyone and for respect, safety, and civil dialogue. So thank you for hearing my words. I do acknowledge that the intent of yesterday's message was good. Errors occurred in that in the delivery of that message, and what I've learned is that it's not only important the words that are said, it's sometimes just as important, or maybe even more important, the words that are omitted from a statement. So I've also learned, as I was reminded yesterday, if you're going to do something, you might as well do it well. And I feel like that wasn't done well. So I will now open the floor for any public comment.
We do not have any on the floor, or do we have any online?
There's one.
Oh, there is one. So I'm sorry, I'm not seeing my face.
If you could just state your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. Kate Jacobson, Wamasit Trail, Littleton Public School parent. I was one of the many people that I've come to understand today that sent letters of disgust to Dr. Clenchey. I do think you do owe the community a letter apologizing that you missed the massive point of your letter. Today, you kindly wrote me back, and Justin, you did too. I thank you for your time in that. In which case, I also replied back to you that in light of what you said today, that you are concerned about social media and kids being exposed to violent, horrific videos, that should have been included in your message, and it was not. You need to apologize. You made a very political statement that was very divisive. As Justin said nicely tonight, thank you, but it needs to come from him to your community. This is not okay. I would expect someone who is leading our school would have better judgment and be a better communicator. Not happy. I do accept your words and I thank you for them. It was a mistake. You need to own it. It's simple. You made a mistake. If you were a child, a teacher would say, correct your mistake. You have a chance. Do it. Send that email. It's not on us to uphold your moral compass. It's on you. Thank you.
Name address for the record, please.
Kimberly Harriman, 8 Brand Lane. I also wrote today, and I spoke on behalf of not just myself, but a number of people who are very as upset as I was. I really appreciate your apology. I take that in good faith, and I completely agree. I will echo what Kate said, which is that nowhere in the message, I had no idea that this was a video that was out online somewhere. No idea that it was live. I'm not on social media. Neither is my child. And so he found out about it from kids. It would have been very helpful in that email to also say, if you were concerned about the kids, to say you're concerned about the kids, and to say that kids might be feeling angry, sad, hurt, worried, all of those things, and that the school has the resources to back that up. And I agree. I would like to hear an apology come from Dr. Clenchey, or if it's a group email, something that comes out, because not all of us are here tonight. Not all of us are online tonight, and everybody needs to hear this message.
Chase Gerbing, 1 Oak Ridge Road. The idea that this is the result of a violent video rings hollow. What I want to understand from your committee is, what is the limiting principle that defines when something like this can and should be sent out? Because 9 months ago, a healthcare executive is murdered in the middle of the street and the videos are all over the news, and we don't get a video, or we don't get an email from the school about that. So the idea that this is simply associated with a violent video has to be false. So if the limiting principle is political violence, we can look at a myriad of examples. Obviously, that's not the limiting principle here because we don't get videos or we don't get letters about political violence. It's not school shootings. Lord knows we'd have too many of those to write. It's not the death of a famous person. We'd have too many of those to write, and we don't write those. I want to know what the limiting principle is here, honestly, because right now what it looks like is an endorsement. And it's either an endorsement or it is such a shocking lack of judgment and foresight that whoever is responsible for writing it and sending it needs to be held accountable up to and including the point of dismissal. It was wrong and it needs to be corrected far beyond simply an apology from the school committee or even from whoever wrote it. You need to define what the limiting principle is, and you need to hold whoever sent it accountable, if not for their endorsement, for their shocking lack of judgment.
Thank you. Being no other interested citizens, we'll move on. Managing multiple things here. I have no internet connection, so. All right, so at this time, I would like to ask Rick Kingsley to the podium. Rick has expressed interest in the financial committee seat as the school appointed. His resume was included in the packet. We got a chance to see it. And I'd just like an opportunity for you to introduce yourself to the committee. We may have a question or two for you, and great, take it from there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the school committee. I'm here seeking the vacant school committee seat on the FinCom, and I think you'll see from my resume that I have a fair amount of experience in municipal and school finance. Worked in the fields for many years, and happy to answer any questions you might have. But you know, I've been impressed with the work the finance committee's done to lower the price tag on the Shaker Lake School project. They've done a really nice job with that, I think, and I'd like to work with them. So,
I appreciate you your interest. It's been a pleasure working with the select board and the finance committee, sort of a three-legged stool recently. And there's great collaboration. I think you're joining a wonderful team.
yeah,
And I'm happy to have you on finance committee with the school committee appointed seat. So I'm certainly in favor of this appointment, and again, appreciate your interest,
thank you.
your engagement.
Yeah, I read your resume. It's uniquely tailored to the responsibilities that you would have in this position. So always grateful when people want to step up and perform their civic duties. So grateful for that, and forward to having you on the team.
Thank you.
Comments?
Just want to echo what they said. Appreciate you stepping up. Yeah, your resume speaks for itself. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sure.
Ask for a motion to appoint Frederick Kingsley, the school committee appointed finance committee seat.
So move.
Motion made by Sean,
Second.
seconded by Elaine. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations.
Thank you very
It
much.
will become
Appreciate it.
official when you visit with Diane Corey, town clerk, and get sworn in as a committee member. Okay.
Okay,
So that is your first step
that's my next.
before your first meeting.
Okay, I will. I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah,
All right.
we'll swear you in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank
Thank you. Yeah, perfect.
Not a touch
I
screen.
know. All right, I will close our first opportunity for interested citizens. There's a second opportunity at the end of the meeting if anyone wishes to speak. We're going to move into recognition. So with us this evening, very excited. We have two new students, Siddharth and Kava, who are going to give the student representative report. Not sure who we're hearing from or who we're hearing from first, but the floor is yours.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Kavya, and I'll start off by explaining some updates from Shaker Lane. Shaker Lane had their back to school night on Tuesday evening for all K-2 students. They appreciate the many families who came out to learn more about their child's day. The staff really appreciates the partnership as they begin the new school year. Also, next Friday, Shaker Lane looks forward to their first High Five Friday with the Littleton Police Department. LPD staff greet students as they enter the school and give them high fives at the start of their day. The students love this day and look forward to many of them this year. Next is Russell Street, which had a great start to the school year as well. Teachers and students are dialing in and practicing the routines and expectations for success. Russell Street is also looking forward to welcoming families to our back to school night next week on September 16th, and Picture Day for Russell Street is on September 16th as well.
All right, hello all. My name is Siddharth, and I'll be going over some updates from Littleton Middle School. So to start off, LMS hosted its annual back to school night on Monday, September 8th, and parents, staff, and students had an opportunity to connect and prepare for a new school year. And then Thursday, today was actually Picture Day for LMS, where kids wore their best attire and had their pictures taken. And then regarding Littleton High School's updates, tomorrow, September 12th, will be Picture Day at Littleton High School. And then next Thursday on September 18th will be a safety drill. And September 23rd, they'll be hosted a senior college planning night for parents at 6 p.m. regarding information on college preparedness and the application process moving forward for seniors.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to your presentations at the meeting. Okay. So, Kelly, typically I turn over to you to see if there's any additional recognition that you'd like to share with us.
I'm further down on the agenda, so I can handle it there.
Great. We're now going to move into our presentation portion of the evening. We have one presentation, which is the Model UN Club's request to go to Washington, D.C. from February 5th through February 9th, 2026. If a high school history teacher, Model UN Club advisor, Kristen McManus, and students would join us at the podium and give a brief presentation.
Yes, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for having us today. So I am joined by my two students who we're going to speak to in a moment, Aria Washisunder and Faith Webb Jones, and we are seeking approval for our Model UN conference in Washington, D.C. in February. So as you can see, the details are up there, and I'm happy to answer any questions after the students speak. But first, Model UN has sort of gone through ebbs and flows at Littleton High School through the years, and so we sort of researched it about 2 years ago, and we've been pretty active since. And so I have two very active and very enthusiastic students, and they just wanted to tell you a little bit about what Model UN does so that you can kind of understand the conference that they're going to go to.
Hi, I'm Faith. I am the vice president of the Model UN Club. And what Model UN is, it's a simulation of the actual UN, where we get to take on roles of delegates and represent countries. We do a plethora of things like research the background of the countries that we're representing. We write our position papers, and we end up debating, negotiating, and coming up with resolutions for the certain global issue or topic that conference may be about. At my time at Model UN, I have learned a bunch of skills such as public speaking and research skills that will not just help me in the club, but also outside of the club as college preparation is coming up. So college interviews and as well as job interviews, the skills have really helped me out. So I'm going to actually pass it on to Aria, who's going to talk about our conferences that we've attended in the past.
Hi everyone. So just want to give an overview over like some of the conferences that we've had in the past. First conference that we attended was at a high school in Bedford, New Hampshire, where we had a great sort of opening session. And that was where like our Model UN careers really started. But so far we've done another overnight conference that was hosted by Boston College this past year. It was fantastic. And I just want to express that we've had so many students come to us and say that, this really helps with public speaking and research. And we've really been able to build like strong skills for the future, as Faith had mentioned. And Amerimonk, which is the conference that we're hoping to attend in DC, is one of the biggest and the best in the United States. And we really appreciate any sort of help with our conference. So thank you so much.
And I should note that the students are especially excited to go because they were around the age where the Washington DC trip first canceled because of COVID. So they're I think especially excited, and you'll see we sort of built in some time to do a little sightseeing while we're down there too, because like when in Rome, you should do some sightseeing, right? So anyway, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
How large is your group that you'd like to bring down?
I wanted to keep it manageable, so I limited it to 15 students. That should be interesting because at our first meeting just this week, we had about 39 students come up. So we probably will have an application process and give preference to students who have been through the program at least to a conference before, because now we are actually going where students from all around the country and sometimes even around the world come. At our conference in Boston last year, there were students from as far away as Hawaii. So it's a really awesome opportunity for them to network. But I also don't want to throw freshmen to the wolves, right off the bat too. So I already have an application plan for that process.
That's great.
Will you have some events leading up to that so that you get some practice?
Yeah, so actually, I don't know if that's gonna happen in February, but we have a one-day conference that we're looking to go to in Boston at Catholic Memorial High School. And they have that's in November, one Saturday in November. So that's a really great conference for first timers, especially. So to hopefully meet the demand of some of the new students who are going to join. I shouldn't say we, the students have done all the legwork. They're planning a joint sort of, we call it a mock model with Westford Academy that we're looking to host at Littleton. And so Westford Academy's Model UN will come. That will be in March, which will be after this conference. And then we're looking to go to one more one-day conference after that. So the nice part is, even for the 15 students who, are going to perhaps DC, as long as you approve, for the rest who can't go, there'll still be plenty of opportunities for them to participate.
Great. Sounds wonderful.
Thank you.
So as per policy, out of state overnight trips need to be approved by the school committee. Wonderful opportunity. So thrilled that you're taking this on. You guys are going to have a great experience. Jealous. I think it sounds like we're all in favor, so I'll ask for a motion.
I move that we approve the trip to Washington DC for the Model UN.
Motion made by Janine,
Second.
seconded by Elaine. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
You're approved.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great time.
Thank you.
We now have 8 new pieces of business to get to. Take them in order. So the first being the Shaker Lane building update. Reads School Committee Chair Justin McCarthy, School Committee Member Shauna Hurd, and Superintendent Kelly Clinchy will give an update on the Shaker Lane building process to date. Kelly, do you wish to start or?
Sure. We had a tri-district board meeting last week. And the numbers that have come in for the project were certainly a lot better than we had anticipated when we started the project. Our grant went up by, the MSBA grant went up by $8.8 million. Don't want to spend a lot of time on the numbers, but what this really means in the end with the money that the town and the school committee are putting into this project, we're looking at a $15.7 million bond over 20 years that lowered the tax rate significantly to $717 a year, I believe. The alternative of doing nothing has a cost to it. And I would like to say that it wouldn't, but we're working on borrowed time, Shaker Lane School. It's past its life expectancy. And at some point in time, with the repairs that are going to need to be done, I mean, Maybe we're gonna get lucky for a few years, but eventually we're gonna have major system failures in the school. MSBA determined that the square footage of the school is less by 35,000 square feet in terms of what our student population is to meet the programmatic needs of the schools. There are two options, and none of them are something that's viable for a long period of time. What would happen is we would eventually have to move some portables in. And the tricky part about this is if we move portables on the Shaker Lane site, if we had to do a full code upgrade, we would have to shut that school down for the code upgrade, and it would be probably 2 or more years by the time we secure the funding, have the architect do everything they needed to do. So the other component of this, which is really scary, is that we would have to find a spot for 414 students within our community. Our other 3 schools do not have the room for even 1 grade of the students in pre-K to 2. Our pre-K is smaller than other classes because we run a smaller program. But what we would need to do is figure out how to disperse those portables throughout the district and have access to the cafeteria, gymnasium, have opportunities for specialized services that we offer our students to be delivered in adequate spaces. There are options to explore. We obviously hope we don't have to go down this road, but one of the things we could do is take a look at moving the grade 2s to Russell Street School, and then adding portables for the grade 5 grade there. And then we could do the same thing. We could either move the grade 5s to the middle school and put a portable there as well to make sure that we had enough space at the middle school to offer those services and use the cafeteria and gymnasium. Another option would be to move the grade 2s to the Russell Street School and put pre-K, K, and 1 around the new central office area, the old Indian Hill building. We have another lot there. There is a small gymnasium there. We have a centralized space. We could use that as a cafeteria, and that would be a viable option as well. But we're looking at our youngest learners. We're going to obviously need restrooms in each of those classrooms, and certainly design it in an area that would be contained for safety, et cetera. So, as a superintendent, those 2 options don't look very good. And when you look at the price tag of that, it's a little more expensive than building a new school that has a lifespan of over 50 years. If we did code upgrades, it would be a 10-year bond, and the taxes on that bond per year would pretty well double to do code upgrades and have modulars or portables to the school. So I feel that as a superintendent that the viable option for this town at this point in time is to support the building of a new school and have a new school designed for our youngest learners with at least 50 years of use as this community continues to grow. And we all know that we need to continue to have a strong school district, strong schools. We've been recognized for this for many years. And our youngest learners, it's their first experience to education. We want to make sure that experience is a good one. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Justin and Sean.
Anything?
Sure. I just want to continue to call out the difference in cost, right? I think it's a huge deal that we got $38.2 million of grant funding. And then that lowers it down to about $60 a month for the first year. The impact if we get the no vote would be about $125 a month. I think that's a big deal. Just want to also reiterate that there's 2 votes to get this done, right? There's a vote on October 28th where we need to pass it in town meeting, and then a ballot vote on November 1st. And then lastly, I just want to wrap up by saying if you haven't gone yet on October 21st at 6:30, there's another walkthrough. You want to take a tour of the school, kind of a nice last chance before we have that town meeting on October 28th. I'd highly recommend it.
I'll add that I have a little bit to say, but perhaps it falls more under the community engagement for Shaker Lane. So so I won't jump the gun. I'll leave things in order. But I will say that if there are folks out there in town that have questions about Shaker Lane that don't feel like they have enough information to make an educated decision on this, please reach out. Like all five of us, Beano's not here this evening, all five of us are willing to have any conversation you need so that you understand what the impact is to your tax bill or what the benefits are of the new school. You know, what does it really mean for a no vote? We're happy to walk you through all that information. Because it's starting to feel very real at this point in time. We're no longer talking about charts and graphs and submitting reports and things like that. We're talking about raising the money and hiring a project manager and getting in the ground. So it's an exciting time. And my goal, as I said last town meeting, was just to make sure that folks knew about the project and they felt that they knew enough to make an educated decision. After our next motion, maybe I'll have more to say than that, but I do encourage all citizens of Littleton to get involved in the process and seek guidance if you feel like you don't know enough about it to have an informed decision.
I actually have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Coming up on votes like this, it's traditional in Littleton for the select board to vote on whether or not they endorse this. And at what point will the school committee vote?
We're hoping to do that now.
Okay,
We're hoping to do that next.
sounds great.
We have it on the revised one. Yeah. So Janine's point's a valid one. Typically a town meeting, the finance committee and the select board, it would be publicly shared that they are in support or not in support of a warrant article. We feel that this being a school project, we certainly need to be included in that. And I'm aware that other boards and organizations are in town are being asked to support the project to create some momentum. So we might not be the first to publicly support it, but we definitely wanted to do it as soon as we possibly could. This is our first meeting of the school year. So with that in mind, is there a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make the motion that school committee approve the building of a new Shaker Lane school, recognizing that the current school is well beyond its life expectancy and is undersized to meet the programmatic needs of our students.
Motion made by Elaine,
A second.
second by Janine. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. It's official. The school committee is in support of the project. We'll wrap that one up and move on to the community engagement for the Shaker Lane building project, and I'll turn it back over to Superintendent Kelly Clenchey.
So, excuse me, we're at the stage of the project now where we really need to get the word out and talk about what the different scenarios are. This has been a few years since we started this project, and we're at the point now where we have a real important vote that's coming around the corner in October and November. And we have utilized various means of communication. We have the Yes for Littleton group that's been very helpful as well. But we still are trying to reach more of our public. And we have a number of people, including the school committee, myself, and community volunteers that will be knocking on doors. We're going to have another tour at Shaker Lane School as well. But what would be helpful for all of us is to make sure that you talk to as many people as you can. When we had the joint board meeting, I asked that everybody talk to at least 10 people and then ask them to talk to other people. I would like to up that challenge and do 20 to 25 people each, and then continue that conversation going down the line. This is really an exciting opportunity for Littleton. Littleton is continuing to grow. And this is an opportunity to build a school that I said before that is really designed for our youngest learners, designed for 21st century education. And having a strong school system within a town is essential for continued growth. We have a lot of new families moving into our community every year, and the families of today do their homework before they move to a community. They look at the school district. They look at our schools, they look at our success rates, and they largely make decisions on the basis of how effective the schools are in terms of if they're moving to a community to raise their children. Littleton has a great reputation, something we need to continue. And having a brand new school will certainly help us continue the trajectory that we're currently on.
Well said. Others?
No, I just want to thank people that do it. I know we have someone in the crowd that's doing the Yes Real Estate group. Just want to thank that group for stepping up.
There's a second opportunity for interested citizens.
I was just gonna say Parks and Rec supports this. We've already voted.
Okay,
Yes.
that's terrific. Thank you. I appreciate that. I will, along Kelly's lines, say that if this project is of interest to you, we desperately need your help to get involved. We are a small town, which is wonderful, but you can't rely on others to get the work done. So it's time for everyone to dig in. So if this is of interest to you, you support the project, our contact information's on the website. Choose mine, send me an email, please. We'd love your assistance because it is a project that's going to shape the future of Littleton. And I also believe it's a project that's going to have long-term financial consequences for the town of Littleton. I believe that information about a no vote is very real. And I feel as a taxpayer myself, I'd rather spend my taxes on a brand new building that's supposed to last for 50+ years, brand new construction, meets our educational plan, than have my taxes go towards fixing an undersized, outdated building that is currently failing to meet our educational needs. So I will take any and all help the community is willing to offer as it relates to engagement for the Shaker Lake project. Moving right along, we have our superintendent's report. So Superintendent Kelly Clenchey will give a report on the first day back along with the personnel update.
Sure, thank you. We had one of the best first days back that I could administrative team can remember. Everything was ready, our schools were ready, our students were eager and happy to come back to school in the fall. Within an hour of them being there, our students were in their classrooms on task. And we had enough bus drivers, our routes were completed the way they needed to be completed. That may seem a little non-essential, but there are a lot of districts out there that don't have enough bus drivers to drive their students to school. So we're very fortunate that we have that stability with our transportation company. We've had a number of staff changes, as you can see from the summary that I put in your package. Things have changed in education during the last 4 to 5 years. For most of my career in education, there was a surplus of educators. And when you secured a job, you stayed. About 4 years ago, that started to change, not only in Massachusetts, but in the nation and beyond. And what we find, and again, my personal philosophy on this is, as a superintendent, my job is to help teachers become the best they can be, and all staff become the best they can be. So when they choose to leave, that's really a proud moment for us because they're taking on new challenges. At the same time, we're sad to let them go because they're part of our community, and we work hard together to meet the needs of all students. And when we have new people come in, they don't have the training that the teachers that were here had. So we spend years getting them up to speed on some of our major initiatives within our district. But having said that, when I look at this year and last year, if I look at educator turnover, we had 7 teachers, there were a couple of retirements, other teachers moving closer to home. That's what we're finding is a trend to, especially with the younger teachers, to move closer to where their families are. Just it makes sense. And they haven't had opportunities to do that before, the last 4 years or so. On 24-25, we had 10 educators leave. So we dropped that by 3 educators, but there's no pattern here. It's just what happened, in a 2-year period. ESPs, our support staff in the classroom. We're very fortunate. Most of our ESPs have teaching degrees and they're getting experience so that they can secure a teaching position. I'd love to keep them all, but we're not a big enough system to do that. And so this year we had 12 leave. A lot of those 12 ESPs ended up with teaching jobs. Congratulations to them. I know there are people in our district that started out as ESPs and moved up into teaching positions. So it's really nice to see that progression from a support teacher to having a classroom of their own and having, being a fully fledged educator. So we had 12 leave this year. We had 7 leave last year. So we had a difference of 4. We're pretty well fully staffed at this point in time, which is always a concern for these positions, for the administration and myself. I think it's close. I think we're almost fully staffed. I think we're down 1, if I remember correctly. A couple of ESPs died. So 3 then, because I know Michelle is down 1. So we're searching for 3 more ESPs. Anybody knows of people out there that are looking for jobs that love working with children, please send them our way. And our administrative staff at the school level, we had 2 leave this year, 1 retired, and the other one took a job in another profession, and we had 1 last year. So as we go down the list, we have fewer personnel in these areas. Cafeteria workers, we had 3 leave this year and 3 leave last year. Long-term subs, we never used to report this out. We combine them with other subs. We hire a number of substitute teachers a year on the basis of the patterns of absenteeism we see within our schools, staff specifically. So this certainly isn't a full list of our substitute teachers, but we've had 6. We actually have 6 long-term subs this year compared to 1 last year. And long-term subs are substitute for teachers who are on long-term leave. It could be parental leave, for example. In this case, that's most of them. Other individuals are on a leave called FMLA. And so they're there for part of the year, sometimes a whole year, depending on how long that leave is. Parental leave in our district, educators have the opportunity to take 2 years off to start their family and spend sufficient time with their family before coming back in the profession. So we do have that happen. That's not a common occurrence, but it does happen. Last year, at the beginning of the year, we had 1 long-term sub. But I don't want you to draw a correlation to there because during the year, we have changes in staffing as well. Things happen, injuries happen, staff end up getting ill or they have family members that are ill. And as a result, we have people leaving during the year where we have to hire long-term subs for them as well. And the only other one I'd like to point out is we go down to the transfers. That's on the second last page here. The third, that's just on my sheet, it's on the last page. So we had teacher transfers this year, 3 that transferred into different positions. Every spring they have an opportunity to send a form into the central office and request a change in position. And we had 3 of those last year and we're able to accommodate them. Last year we had 2. And other than that, I pretty well talked about the ESPs, Tiger's Den. We have people coming and going all the time. You can see there was a minimal movement at this point in time, but that usually picks up during the year. Central office staff, we have 1 that's retiring at the end of September, my executive assistant for 14 and a half years. I'd like to thank Dorothy for all the time that she's spent with us and her leadership in that position. We were fortunate to hire somebody to get on board with us and work with Dorothy for over a month, so to learn all of the different skill sets and programming that they need to use. So we're in good shape, but we're all going to miss Dorothy. Dorothy has been visible in many different areas, including the school committee meetings during COVID. She was instrumental in running the huge number of meetings that we had to make sure that we connected with our public during those times. So thank you, Dorothy, for everything that you've done, and we're going to miss you. And that's it for the personnel update.
Yeah, school committee also wishes to recognize Dorothy's retirements. Thank you very much for
So, say progress.
everything you've done for us. We probably laugh at you, so
100%.
Glad to be here for you.
Alex, you got big shoes to fill.
Yeah, she's the person who has all the answers, so.
Just make them up.
Oh, now your secret's out.
All right, continuing to move through the agenda, next up we have the school principals update. School principals will give a brief update on their school reopenings. So we can take this in any order you like.
Always going, so I love that.
I was posting like, hi, everyone. Happy new school year. Similar, you'll hear probably a similar statement from lots of the principals tonight. This year has begun on a very positive note. Students and staff settling in, building strong momentum for a really positive and productive year. Students have returned energized. Overall atmosphere in the classroom always has been focused, welcoming, and positive. Teachers have emphasized, as they should, their routines and expectations early and clearly, and students so far are abiding by that, understanding what the rules are. I brought a list of a couple of highlights from the high school. August 20th, we kicked off with the new student orientation. I wanted to thank our peer leaders who provided tours and information about the high school experience to new students, not only students who are transferring in new to the town, but as well as at a freshman class. September 4th, we had a wonderful back to school night with teachers meeting parents, and a great opportunity to hear about what their children will learn throughout the year in each of the courses. September 5th, we had a fabulous club fair where there was so much excitement in the gym. Lots of new clubs, but it was led by student leaders, so it was very impressive there. Seeing there were different tables all the students could go to. So we're really fostering that sense of belonging and connection. And it's really expanded this year in ways I haven't seen before. September 10th, just yesterday, we had our professional development early release day focused on our new digital hall pass system that will be rolling out on Monday with all the students. And we're planning assessments and experiences for a portrait of a learner. The NEASC official, the New England Association of Schools and College official accreditation visit is coming up the school year, May 3rd through the 6th. And today I met with the PTA, and we discussed all kinds of ways they intend to support staff and student activities. And I want to thank the PTA for all they've done over many years. I've worked with them, but also thank you for everything they're planning for this upcoming school year. As we move ahead, we're focused, of course, on maintaining that positive energy and momentum. And the 3 weeks of the school so far, roughly, have been smooth and productive at the high school. Happy to answer your questions, but I'll for next candidate who's coming to this.
Oh, can you talk about is your cell phone policy part of your
Yeah,
presentation?
do you want me
or
to
is
talk about
coming
that
up in
now?
Another section.
Why don't we hear about that after we hear from the other?
Yeah, we'll come back up.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll have a second round with. them.
Yeah, that's what I understand.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. We have been off to a fantastic start at the middle school. I know I've said this a couple times, but I'll say it again publicly. In my 25 years of education, this is the best start to a school year I have ever experienced as an educator, teacher, or administrator. We have hit a stride at the middle school where things are clicking and working the way that we've imagined them to be, and it's all sort of coming together in this wonderful way. And we're really seeing it in the faces of the students and the attitudes of the teachers. You can just feel it as you walk into the hallways. No jokes here on this one. I'm just so proud of my staff and our students and our community and our families to help create something truly special at Littleton Middle School. And it's really now getting to that level of greatness that we've been working towards for so long. The other night we had our back to school night, and it's one of the best compliments I've ever been given as administrator. Parent came up to me at the end and said that she was so moved by what she saw in our classrooms that she wanted to go back into the classroom herself. And this is someone who had left the profession. So to me that says something when an ex-educator says, you know what, I kind of wish you've so inspired me that I want to get back. And so that's the kind of thing that we're creating at Littleton Middle School. We've remade our library space to create this multi-use sort of library tech space and reimagining what that looks like. We've hired a new library media assistant, so they'll have full-time access for school, after school, for students to use the library in addition to during the day. So just so many things that are happening. That's really, really wonderful. Even Lynn Snow and I have worked on our middle school language, trying to find many ways to use words like 6-7, 41, chat, all these other things in language. And so we're able to actually have some fun with the kids and kind of get used to a whole new world of middle school life. So that's it. It's been fantastic. Thank you.
Just have one.
Yes.
One comment, one question.
Yes.
So I have the unique privilege of being like the middle school parent here, right? So back to school night was awesome. Like,
thank you.
Job well done. Like the energy, the vibe, the professionalism among the staff, just really knocked it out of the park.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
and if I had the pleasure of attending as a parent at the other schools, I'm sure I would have had a similar experience. Not to leave anybody out, but you guys just really did an awesome job.
Thank you.
The question that I have, and the timeliness of it is unique, or it's funny because UN was here asking if they could go to DC.
Right.
And full disclosure, I have an 8th grader, but because I was there, I had other parents approaching me. What's the deal with the Washington DC trip?
Right.
And I don't intend to put you on the spot for an answer,
Yeah.
but I do intend to share that there is some desire for us to return to a Washington DC 8th grade trip.
Yeah.
And I know time is of the essence to try to pull it off this year, but it's not too late, is my understanding, where you could in fact likely get it done this year. But if not this year, perhaps following years.
Right.
So I just wanted to share that with you, that I had parents approaching me.
No, I appreciate that.
saying, I think we stopped because of COVID. When do we start back up again?
Yeah, I mean, we'll certainly have to talk offline or, sort of way about this. And I'm certainly happy to meet with parents on this issue. I think there are a number of issues that we have to address, one of them being cost. I met with our tour company this summer and they priced a trip out in the spring to be about $1,200 a person. Last year, we had 7 students ask for scholarships at $300 each. The financial burden of having to come up with nearly $8,000, assuming that's the only ones that we get. We start with cost, sustainability in terms of the number of staff. We had reached a point before COVID where we were having a hard time getting staff because a lot of our staff have young families, and taking 5 days away from home, just isn't necessarily feasible. So now we're trying to figure out how to. I don't want to bring something back and then not being able to support it 2 or 3 years from now. So I'm certainly open to the idea, and I'm certainly willing to discuss it. But my concerns are founded in the pragmatism of whether or not just given everything with our economy and time. There is another optional trip that a friend of mine does in another district that they go in the fall. They go in October, and actually the weather's much better. There's hardly any tour buses. They get to see all the things, and they have the benefit of seeing the things so that they can be referred back to as the year goes on, and especially in civics classes and other things, and having that team building part of it. So there's certainly options that we can discuss, and it's much cheaper to go in October than it is in June or May. So I look forward to the conversation. Let me know when you want to set something up, and we'll be happy to entertain it.
Thank you so much.
All right, you bet. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Justin, we have some big shoes to fill for our back to school night next week. So we'll do our best to live up to the expectation. Russell Street's going great. We had a really fantastic start of the school year. All of our students came in first day, met their teachers outside, and really got busy in establishing those routines, those expectations, those procedures. I let my staff know that they had my permission to take excess amount of time to really lock in those expectations and those routines and the first few weeks, because that pays dividends, come the long months of February and March, when we need to make sure that we're all still abiding by those same expectations to have really productive days. In terms of our academics, we're off and running now. The benefit of being in year 2 of Wit and Wisdom at Russell Street is that we can jump right into content as opposed to doing what's called Module 0, which we did last year, which was kind of an introduction to the program for all of our students because it was new to all of them. benefit of year two is all of our teachers and our students have a year of wit and wisdom under their belt. So they know a lot of the types of lessons and skills that they will be asked of. So Russell Street, we were able to jump right into module one. So our third graders are reading all about the sea. Our fourth graders are reading about the circulatory system. Our fifth graders are studying Lewis and Clark's expedition as they begin to have some good discussions around westward expansion and how that affected the Native American populations in our country. In math, we're up and running with Into Math as well. I'm happy that I still remember how to do multi-digit multiplication to help some of our fifth graders, and our fourth graders were rounding up to the millions place today. So if you need any help with that, let me know. But yeah, we're off and running. Stripe is still a very big portion of how we talk about, you know, what our Russell Street students are living up to. So that's going to be a big part of our school year again this year, and just looking forward to getting back at it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Nice being on the end. I can gather my thoughts. I can listen to what everybody said. I can add on to it. Where I'm usually like front and center. So we also had a great start. I feel like this is the week because it's 5 days. So I love our build up. I have to thank everyone. I like the calendar. The staff likes the calendar. We start with 3 days for 5, 6, and 7-year-olds. Then we start with 4 days for our 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds. And then this week is 5 days. So by tomorrow, the students will be exhausted. We will be exhausted. So it's been a great start. We are just starting to dabble our toes this week in curriculum. We're really building routines at this age level, really building capacity, what it's like to hang up your backpack, what it's like to open your snack, what it's like to be at school and not have, you know, those taking care of us doing things like that. So I visited a first grade classroom this year. As you know, we closed our transitional program last year. We built in choice time for our first graders this year, which was amazing. So it's nice to see that the grade 1 students have a 20 or 25-minute choice time built in so that they are getting that play time, they're getting that downtime, the problem solving skills are there. It was amazing. It was amazing. And I'm like, we're on like what, day 7 or 8. So we are already in the planning stages of some big events coming up soon. We have our book fair next month with our masked reader at night. Mr. McDonald and I just started planning the cultural fair for November. So it's been a great start. We're getting into the academics this week, but just really building those social foundations, those emotional foundations, and giving these little ones what they need to really be ready for academics. So thanks.
Rochelle, I just have a quick question. Can you remind me with when you phased out transitional, did that create an extra kindergarten or an extra
It did.
first grade?
It did. So we chose as a district to add an additional kindergarten classroom and a kindergarten ESP. So our current kindergarten classrooms are at 16. A couple of them are at 17, which are very nice numbers to have.
And are teachers being provided with some strategies to support students that may have been identified for transitional, but
so our first, we've never identified the kids who have gone on to, so let me talk about first grade. So we have never identified children whose families have said, nope, I do not want the transition program, just move my child on to first. And we chose not to do that this year because if we hadn't done it in the past, what's the reason for doing it this year? Just because we closed the program? So Anna Diaco, Mrs. Diaco, our school adjustment counselor, is really focusing her time in the first grade. We have first grade groups that are dedicated just to that grade to really build some supports if they need it. And those classrooms are a little bit larger because we did have to absorb the program this year. They're at 23. It's next year would be better because we had to absorb those 13 students from the prior year. Did that answer the question you were
yeah,
asking?
absolutely. I was just curious about transitioning out of transitional.
Right. So we're focusing that support in first grade. Yeah. And again, that was the building of the schedule. When Ms. Deacon, our assistant principal, built the schedule, it was really with first grade in mind. What is best for them? And she built the schedule so that it's work, play, work, play, work, play. And that could mean work snack. It could mean work recess lunch. It could mean work special. So it was really just trying to give them that on time and then some downtime in addition to the 25 minutes of choice time. So really thoughtful with that creation of first grade.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, we're a good team.
Do you think, I'm just curious if you thought perhaps attendance was up. I know that at Shaker Lane, attendance is usually way up on back to school, right? Anyways, but did like the Shaker Lane project, was there any just like, did you hear people talking about it? Were people?
I heard you talking about it. It was great. It was lovely.
I heard myself talk about it too, but perhaps maybe folks had heard us offering tours and had talked about the tours and they're sending their kids there and they're like, well, I want to see this behind the scenes thing. Like, was there any discussion because you had a bunch of parents come for back to school night?
But shoot,
Is it any different because of the Shaker Lane project going on or
I don't think
did it
so.
feel normal?
It felt pretty
Felt
normal.
pretty normal.
Yeah, I did, after you gave your presentations, which were great, I did hear a lot of families just comment, we're pro project, we'll be there, we'll be out that night. So, but other than that, it's a big turnout. It's usually a big turnout at that age level. Right, Sean came by. Thank you, Sean. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Great. Kavya and Siddharth, I wanted to remind you that you as student representatives could, when you feel appropriate, add to the meeting. And I was thinking that the topic of back to school night and perhaps the next topic of cell phone policy might be areas where you have something to add, and feel free to always add something to the meetings going forward. If there's anything on the agenda where you feel like you could make a contribution. So do you wish to add anything about back to school night, or do you feel like, the return to school, not back to school night, that was for parents. Do you wish to add anything from the students' perspective about returning to school this year?
No comment.
I think everyone was really I'm sorry. Sorry, my throat was really dry.
I caught you off guard. It's my fault.
What I said.
I think all the students are really excited. Yeah, so
That's what we love to hear. Excitement was high among the student population.
Definitely a lot of energy.
All right, next up, we're going to hear about cell phone policy. So the high school cell phone policy, and then an update on cell phones at the middle school, Russell Street, Shaker Lane.
Yeah, so back to cell phones. I said that we'd provide an update at the start of the school year. Our school leadership team, our school council, our faculty have been discussing bringing more clarity to our school rules and our procedures around cell phones. And it's much needed. As we've talked about before, it's being discussed at the state level. The Senate has approved a cell phone bell-to-bell ban, and it's being, I think, pondered by the legislature. See what happens with the state. But we feel what we've come up with at the high school is a very respectful and responsible practice or procedure, really, more than a policy. We've gone over it with all the students and advisory, as well as back to school, all class meetings, for the assistant principal and I explained the rules. And so I'd like to just I think it's in your packet, but I'd like to just for the public listening and watching tonight, just sort of share the main highlights of our policy. And a lot of this is already, it's been in the rule that students are supposed to have phones off and away, but now it's very explicit and clear, and we made clear what our enforcement would be in terms of our language. So silent mode is required. All cell phones must be silent, turned off during school hours. There's no use during instructional time. Cell phones are required to be often stored now in the classroom storage pockets on the wall or in the students' bags, their backpacks. And they're not permitted to be used during instructional time unless there's an appropriate purpose that's authorized by the teacher for some instructional purpose. And there are times when we're doing surveys, take out your phone, do this quick survey, and then put them away. One of the big differences is the students like to have it on their person, right nearby or on their desk, and often away supposedly, but it's too easy for them to grab and sneak underneath the desk and look at it. So that's an adjustment for a lot of our students, is that they're to be out of sight as well, not really reachable. So we've had a few kids adjusting to that change in practice, and it's going fairly well from what I can gather from talking to the students and just observing classrooms and talking to teachers. I appreciate the teachers' enforcement of this too. That's one of the major things we have to have is consistent enforcement across the faculty. We had some staff that were much more lenient, and others have tried to be very strict, and this brought clarity, what the expectations are professionally and staff. This is the reasonable part, I think, where we're giving some allowance, given the age of the students and directed study and library media center, we do allow students to use their cell phones, headphones for academic purposes if it's appropriate, especially listening to music for more focused study. Sometimes, I can recall even in graduate school having my headphones on in the library, some instrumental music, and just doing research and reading and writing, so that it can be useful for some students. So we are allowing them to use their phones, and they cannot take their phones. We have to have this addition here, is that some students are thinking because they haven't studied, they can take it out of they have it with them and available to them, that they can leave to go to the restroom or refill their water bottle, and they can take their phone with them. So we had to update this language that inserted a new line that's not maybe in the packet, but students are not allowed to take their phones with them if they briefly need to leave their assigned areas during this directed study time or the library time. From all my observations so far in the library, it's working out really well. And I think students appreciate that we give them that allowance. There are a lot of schools that are not a total ban. They don't allow them to have them in the library or on during study, available to them during studies. So hallways, flex blocks, which is our flex block, we have a 30-minute or so flex block period from roughly 9:10 to about 9:40. Phones may be used at that time, and they may be used during passing time between classes. So there's plenty. If we think about this, War School flex block, that's every day, except if a teacher is an advisory and asks them to turn it off. But it's available to them for a break in the morning, at lunchtime, and then of course after school. There's plenty of opportunity for students to use their phones. Bathroom and locker room policy made this very clear that cell phones may not be used in restrooms or locker rooms. For some reason, students always seem to have their phone on. And I'll see them walking right into the restroom, reading something on scrolling something as they go in there or into the locker room. So we wanted to make that clear, especially with no photos, videos, or audio recordings, which has always been the rule. But it just sort of emphasizes that even more. There are some special permissions in there that's in the policy. You could see that. But what the big thing, I guess, is to outline is the consequences for the violations, which we haven't had to impose other than verbal warnings at this point and a teacher managed consequence. But there are, clear rules for second offenses, which could result in the phone being taken away from them for the day. A third offense, they lose their phone restriction for the week. They have to bring it into the office beginning of the day. Parents are going to all be notified about this, and then they pick it up at the end of the day. And any subsequent offenses will be handled on more serious way. But what's really new is the phones off and away, not near your person, and clear consequences that are spelled out. And and just everybody understands them. They've all been told up front what to expect if they, and they'll be warned again, if they get into a second offense, like this is what the third offense will mean if you're back here with your phone issue. So we think it will work out well so far. From what I can gather, it seems pretty well. There does seem to be a more focus in the classrooms, of course, so that you'd expect that. The kids, and the other thing that's most noticeable is students talking more to each other and not obsessed with their advice. So good news to report so far. That's the policy. Happy to answer any questions you might have. I think the high school probably had the most change in terms of the cell phone policy.
I'm really pleased with this policy. I think it's very well thought out, with being explicit about the expectations, but also consequences. But at the same time, I think it's very respectful to students that it's not a bell-to-bell, mandate that there's no phones. They can use them during times that are more unstructured, as long as they don't abuse the privilege. And that's a great opportunity for students to step up and meet the responsibility and maintain the privilege. So
Thank you for saying that. I brought that up, I think, at one of the last meetings of the school committee last school year, and talked about how we're preparing them for post-secondary life and how important it is professional environments, how we have to abide by certain rules related to cell phone use, and we're trying to help them develop those, good habits.
Yeah. Again, I don't want to put the student representatives on the spot, but curious if you've noticed a difference in the way students engage in the classroom with no phones.
Yeah, I definitely noticed a big like increase in teacher enforcement on making sure phones aren't being used. They look at the phone pockets, take attendance and call back new students that don't seem to have their phone in the pocket. So I think that they have enforced it a lot better. And I think as a result, a lot of students have been collaborating more, talking more, and not on their phones as much. Also, leaving the room for water breaks or the bathroom has decreased a lot. I think students are more present in the classroom, and overall, it's been much better. I think with the move phone policy.
Fantastic. Just what we were hoping for. That's great. Thank you.
It's great to hear.
Yeah.
Will what we're doing conform with the new law in Mass?
Well, there's nothing yet. So if it were to take effect, we know that from what the Senate passed, that it wouldn't take effect to until next school year. So we're good for this year. We hope that, from a management perspective, I don't know if the Principals Association has reached out. They have a lobbying group that could reach out and talk to, legislators and talk about what they would like in terms of what's reasonable for enforcement. And what, especially it might look different in different grade levels too. Managing, how do you manage all the phones when the students arrive to school? A lot of students want to have at least access to their phone at some point during the day, especially high school kids.
It's a safety issue too.
It can be, yeah. We reassure people about that it's not, something that they need to have with them at all times in terms of safety. We have ways of communicating with parents if something, an issue were to come up. And students have access to the office phone if they needed to make a phone call, things like that. So, yeah, we will see what the state decides. I think New York just initiated that. New York State just adopted the Belvedere schedule ban last week. So we'll be alert. I think Massachusetts will watch that.
Maybe phone calls to our state rep might be a good idea too.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. We're gonna watch this and see if hopefully we won't have to lean on that. So, legislatures say that it didn't work, what we try to do. We're optimistic this will work.
Thank you for being ahead of the game.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Sure. So at the high school level, they're changing classrooms, right?
Yes.
So do they get to keep the cell phone with them when they switch
Yeah,
classrooms?
they're in possession of their phone the whole day.
Okay.
We don't take their phone unless there was a reason to. And but they actually can make sometimes our kids are talking to employers or coaches or something, they need to send a quick message home to a parent. There's lots of reasons why they might need to send a quick message, and they can do that during passing time.
Okay.
We'll call them out if they're spending a little too much to get to class, but spending too much time. They know that, but they have that, that's respectful. You need to take a quick break, make a call to classes. We change enough too that there's abundant opportunities throughout the day for our students at Littleton High School to use their phone if they have to for personal reasons.
How have parents responded to this? Have you heard anything?
I haven't heard much. We talked about it briefly at back to school night. I think maybe the teachers did probably more so about the enforcement of pockets, but I wanted to come to you tonight and sort of give you the update. This will go out with our typical weekly Friday flyer saying, here's an update. It's been presented to school committee. This is more of we're saying we kind of words interchangeably. Policy. This is more of a school rule procedure.
Yeah.
It's just operational on how we're managing it at the building. So, I think I'll be clear to use the word procedure when I speak to parents and students about it. And yeah, I from what the school council parent reps, very excited about this. They were instrumental in guiding it, influencing our writing of it. And as well, and so just back to school night, a few parents came up to me where we were in the lobby and saying positive things about the cell phone policy. So that's what I've heard, anecdotal stuff.
Thank you for being so thoughtful.
Yeah,
about
thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
We're hearing from the middle school.
Yes, just a brief update.
Thank you. We didn't have a change in policy. The policy had been on the books for a while. What we really did is looked at the enforcement and kind of doubling down and kind of we're going back to what we had initially created several years ago. The original policy was created, it came from a series of focus groups with students around how do we create something that will work for both. And so what we had was, I thought, something that worked out really well. And last year I created a behavior response committee, I wanted feedback to find out about discipline, how things are being handled, just to get some feedback. What are the issues that maybe as an administrator you don't know about but are bothering teachers and students? And one of the things that came up was cell phone usage. And so one of the things that we did was go back to the idea of let's enforce what we have, but let's make this more teacher driven. And so rather than two administrators running around the building grabbing cell phones, it would start with the teachers and largely stay there. But as John said, kind of sort of climb the ladder after a certain point, right? Phones, you get them back at the end of class or the end of the day, or they come to me for a phone call home. But teachers can also stay within that loop. If you want to give a certain kid multiple warnings, you certainly can do that. It allows for that. Kids can use their cell phones if it's open with a teacher, if they're using it for Blooket or some other game. That's certainly a possibility. So what we really did is, like I said, just kind of double down on the enforcement of it. We've had a really good response to it. Sixth grade is great. So many sixth graders don't have cell phones, so it's wonderful. And I'm hoping January, that all changes in January when they all come in with this toy and they're very excited. Seventh grade, they're largely have gone along with it. Eighth grade is always the issue. Social media addiction is tighter in eighth grade. The need to communicate. So it'll take some time as we get through it. I have not had a single teacher come to me with a complaint or a cell phone to say you need to call a parent. So, 2 weeks in and we're still, doing okay. Right. Listen, I'll take it. 10 days is 10 days. And so we hope to keep riding this wave. The idea is if we can just sort of grandfather this through, right? The sixth graders will be the first ones, and largely the seventh graders to really be, under this new, so that maybe a year or two or from now that this isn't even an issue. What we're really moving towards though are the earbuds and the watches. It's less and less about the phone, because now the kids will just turn on their music, put the phone in their bag, and they still listen to music, and and now you can mirror your phone on your computers, so you don't even have to have your phone on you to be able to use it. Thank you, Apple, very much for that. That was great. And some of the new features of Snapchat have been wonderful additions to the middle school life. So, and I say that entirely sarcastically. And so, but so far, our students have really responded well. The parents have been positive about it, and so we look forward. And we know that this will dip in time, and we'll have to address that. But for right now, we're off to a good start.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Last year, you talked about the QR code on the inside of bathroom doors so that students could use their phones to report bullying incidents. How did that work, and are you still doing that? We're
still doing it. We'll send an email out too, so the kids who don't have a cell phone. I think there's the reality of we can try all we want to limit the cell phone use, but at some point in time, kids going to walk out and stuff. And so we want to have that, because there might be times before school or after school a student wants to use it in that privacy. So we have to. I don't want to take those down and say, you're not allowed to use your phone, so therefore you can't report bullying. We certainly don't want to encourage it, but I would rather have it up and deal with a student having their phone on them when they're not supposed to. The benefit that we get from finding out about bullying and harassment is far, far greater. So
Yeah, it just seems a little inconsistent with the policy at high school where the phones are not allowed in the bathroom. So students have to transition when they go from 8th grade to 9th grade.
They're not allowed in our bathroom either. But we have kids who will bring fake phones, and we have kids who have a second phone, there's always a way around it. And so I think knowing how middle schoolers operate, we just wanted to make sure that we created an opportunity for kids to report what they needed and put aside that rule for the sake of what we could potentially benefit from it. So we have a pass system that we enabled about 1.5 years ago, where the students are supposed to sign out. We know exactly who's signed out of which class. We can even set it up so that the students can't be in the hallway at certain times with other students where they might congregate. So it's the cell phone policy itself is not just on its own. It's really in conjunction with some of the other systems that we have in place to try and minimize that. But you know what? Sometimes there are students who are in crisis, or sometimes there are students who are just emotionally, not in a great place, and they're going to have their phone in the bathroom, and we want to be able to have that outlet. So I understand the inconsistency, but for me, the benefit of the data information that we get is far outweighs that.
Thank you.
And I thought cell phones were covered well at back to school and at the middle school, and I thought this was humorous. One of the staff members shared that, when the kids are getting in trouble for having their cell phones, it's like the child throws the parent under the bus immediately. I'm texting mom or dad. Mom or dad is texting me and I have to get back to him, so.
I can think of 3 students this week where I was like, put your phone away, and they're like, I'm texting my mom, and I was like, I watched you open that up. You're totally lying to me right now.
And the response was, if it's that important, mom or dad or parent or guardian will call the office.
Exactly, yeah. The flip
So,
side of that,
right.
and this is just being cheeky, that you'd be surprised how many students have no idea how to use the landline. So we literally have to teach them how to dial the phone. And so sometimes the amount of stress that it causes for them to not have a cell phone. Have you ever tried to work with an 11-year-old to use to dial 8 to get out plus the number and wait? There was one student who held the phone upside down so the cord was on top because they didn't know what to do with the receiver. So, this is middle school life.
I was gonna.
Never figure that out.
I'll have students melting down if I put a rotary phone up there. They won't know what to do with themselves. So no, but so far we've seen real progress in our cell phone policy, and we'll just continue to be vigilant. Go that way.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Street or Shaker Lane.
I'll make just one quick pitch.
Sure.
So. So fortunately, cell phones are not an issue at Russell Street. What is becoming more increasingly that we're seeing, especially after the holidays, are internet connected watches, which a lot of our students tend to use. So that's our battle at Russell Street to make sure our students are using their watch to tell the time and nothing else. There are, settings that can be set to school mode where the internet connectivity is shut off from certain hours to another, to dismissal time. And what we work with students are if we see them using their watch in ways that are not to tell the time, gentle reminders to put that school mode on. Watches will hang out in Miss Romano or my office for the remainder of the day if it continues to be a distraction. And to your point, many times when we are asking students why they are using their watch, they're saying, oh, I just got a text from mom or from dad because I'm, taking the bus home rather than, getting picked up. To which my response to anyone here and watching is, please use Pickup Patrol if you need to change your dismissal or call the main office. We'll be happy to pass that message along to your kids. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yes.
No comments, Michael, no comment, that's. I'm
Thankfully.
relieved to hear that Shaker Lane doesn't have it. All right, good. School committee mission statement update. So, we had failed to mention up until now, school committee did have a summer retreat where we got together and had a productive working session talking about, wins and losses last year as it relates to school committee business and planning for the current year. One of the things that came out of that, many things that came out of that, but one of which was we didn't feel like we had an actual mission statement, and we find it appropriate to have one. So in the interest of not rushing things, we have sort of 2 drafts ahead here. They read identical through the first couple sentences, and then the highlight is changed. So I'll read the first one for the public record. Seems appropriate, although it might be boring for those of you that are in attendance. The mission of Littleton School Committee is to ensure that every student is supported in reaching their highest potential through a commitment to continuous improvement in student performance and educational excellence. We achieve this by setting clear policies that foster innovation and equity, preparing and managing a responsible school budget that aligns resources with student needs, and providing thoughtful evaluation and guidance to the superintendent. Through these efforts, we strive to create a dynamic learning environment where students are prepared to succeed as engaged citizens and lifelong learners. The second mission statement offering changes that last sentence to, together with the community, we strive to prepare all students to be critical thinkers who are engaged citizens and lifelong learners. Some wordsmithing taking place. It's not imperative that we vote something through this evening. It's more just to resurface this from our working session. However, if there was some discussion or consensus, we could move forward. So does anybody have anything to add or to offer about either of these mission statements which have been brought forward in the packet tonight?
Can I suggest we discuss tonight and vote on it to next meeting?
Good idea. It's typical. If you have any discussion to offer?
I like the second one a lot. I like the inclusion of community. And I very much like the goal of preparing students to be critical thinkers, engaged citizens, and lifelong learners. That seems like the kind of adult that we all want to spend time around and be part of our society.
I'm also in agreement. I perhaps may have been the one that offered the first one. I can't recall, it's not important. But maybe we aren't responsible for creating the dynamic learning environment, right? That's more of a staff thing. We're responsible for the budget and the resources and all that stuff. I do agree that I think the second one's a little bit more appropriate, a little cleaner, and aligns better with what our objectives are as a school committee.
Yeah, I think in today's economy, just in general, the world, I think critical thinkers is really important. Needs to call out the field.
I wanted to offer a slight wordsmithing change about the part about setting clear policies. So the way it's reading now is setting clear policies that foster innovation and equity. And I don't know that we can really claim that our policies are fostering innovation. It's sounds a little buzzy. So I wanted to kind of bring it more within what is our purview to say that we provide strong governance and support equitable practices. Oh, so setting clear policies that provide strong governance and support equitable practices. Because that feels like it is more within our role as a school committee. So do you want to offer two versions at the next meeting that we can choose from to vote, or how do you want to handle it?
Discuss it now. I mean, I understand that edit. We had a little side conversation about it.
Yeah.
So
and part of that
wasn't
was
included in the
language
packet, but it does eliminate the innovation aspect, and in turn provides strong governance. and
Right,
support.
because innovation feels more on the operations side. We're all for it, obviously, but I don't know how we govern for innovation.
Yeah, for the change.
Okay. Pause. So I feel like I'm very new to this role still. So what part of the role of a school committee can you speak a minute to like why governance is more appropriate to what we should be doing than than setting clear policies?
Oh, it is. So that's all in there.
It's the policy.
So the
Okay.
sentence is, we achieve this by setting clear policies
Okay,
that provide strong governance and support equitable practices.
okay.
So what I'm
We're just-
proposing we take out is the part about
Fostering innovation.
that our policies foster innovation. Well, I would love if that were true. That's really beyond our purview.
Oh.
Right? That,
I
I mean, I'm thinking about the policies that we keep reviewing and approving, and
Yeah.
they don't really deal with innovation.
Oh, are
Right.
those policies?
Those policies, yeah.
I have not gotten that into
Yeah.
that, but.
Well,
okay, I'm
like when
hearing that.
Beanle's here and.
Yeah, no, I've been going over
Policy
that with them.
reviews.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I've been doing that too. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I hadn't thought of that. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. I'm
Yeah.
seriously, I'm like, oh, wait.
I know.
missed the
I
part
wish
of
we
what
were
I'm
really-
doing.
Okay.
Okay,
But I think the school
Yeah.
district is, for sure.
yeah.
I think that's a nice proposed edit that's not in the packet. So why don't we do this? Why don't we, at our next school committee meeting, feel prepared to move forward with the mission statement? And I think what we'll do is we'll include the mission statement as you've outlined it with that one additional edit, Elaine, in next meeting's packet. Okay. That seems good, appropriate to everybody?
Yes.
And then we can hear from Beanle as well. Like, I wouldn't want to vote on it without Beanle here.
Agreed. All right. School committee goals update. So as I alluded to, we had a working session over the summertime. We spent a lot of time around the table talking about what happened last school year, what the objectives were for this school year. We talked about sort of our 3 areas where we're supposed to be really involved, which is policy, budget, superintendent's evaluation. We all had an opportunity to share what was sort of our unique perspective of being on the school committee and what we hope to get out of it and all that good stuff. So we have it on the agenda as an opportunity for us to sort of reopen those discussions if anyone feels like they have something that they wanted to update us on or needed to share. If we don't, what we're planning on doing is bringing some of that work that occurred during the summer working session throughout over the course of the year. So this is really just a placeholder in the agenda item to see if any committee members needed to want some clarification, updates, things that they wish to share. Not getting much engagement, so I feel like that we're okay to move on.
Yeah, is this related to the presentation calendar or just outcomes from the summer retreat?
It's not related to the presentation calendar because that's a separate topic. However, we did, spend a lot of time talking about the presentation calendar. So before we move into the presentation calendar, is there anything else from the summer retreat that a school committee member wishes to discuss? And notice an okay answer.
Yeah,
Just wanted to give everybody an opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank
I don't think of anything.
Terrific. All right, so new business number 8. Proposed school committee calendar presentation. Superintendent Kelly Clenchey, school committee member Elaine Sandelman will provide an update on a proposed 2025-2026 school committee presentation calendar. Very wordy.
Do you want me to go? Do you want to go first?
I can just say a couple of comments. What we're really trying to do here is we've had systems in place for a number of years and they've worked well. But it was time that we evaluated what we were doing, and one of our goals and objectives is to create a more active voice with the school committee and shared communication with the public, for example. But the school committee meetings need to be framed so that you have an opportunity to be updated on initiatives within our school so that you can make a decision. You have good information to make good decisions. But there are also times, and this is something that we haven't done enough of, and I heard from all of you this summer, you were in agreement, is giving you the opportunity for a free flow conversation to ask questions and actually engage with us and the public, because we're televised. So I think what Elaine is trying to do here is trying to get the best of both worlds. And also there may be areas that you're interested in that we haven't identified. I mean, we could keep you busy for 8 hours a meeting quite easily, but that wouldn't be productive. And we know that. But what we want to do is have you feel that you're getting what you need in terms of being a school committee member. And really, it's like being in a classroom. We don't want a single voice at every meeting. There needs to be more of a communication. So I think that's what we've committed to try to figure out how to do that so that it's more conversational rather than having somebody spend most of the time on a presentation and say 20 minutes on a presentation and 5 minutes for questions. We need to figure out how.
Yeah, I'm really grateful that you're willing to shift the traditional routines a little bit. We talked quite a bit at the summer retreat about what we would like to work on at the school committee meetings, what we'd like to hear about. And a common thread that came out was that we would like to hear about initiatives, kind of in the beginning, middle, and the end, rather than just at the end when we can express our gratitude, but we're not really given an opportunity to be part of any of the conversations. So we highlighted our priorities in the meeting, tried to synthesize that down to sort of action items that we would like to hear about in the school committee meetings, and they relate with what Dr. Clenchey had expressed as his top priorities as well. So it's going to look a little bit different. I shared this Google Doc with all the school committee members so that it's sort of a living document as you think of priorities for your work on the school committee. If there are things that you would like to hear about, you have access to editing this document, so you can look for a place where it sort of fits with the theme of a meeting and propose it. And, you know, I made a commitment to the central office folks that we would have a solid agenda like several weeks ahead of time, so they're not panicking when it comes time to prepare a packet or ask people for presentations. But the gist of it is the big changes that I would like to highlight are would love to hear about the portrait of a learner. You know, that's something that's very exciting to me. I think this is really innovative and could be really impactful in the district to not just hear about it at the end of the year, how it all went, but to sort of hear soon, like, what are your plans for Portrait of a Learner? And then have a sort of a mid-year check-in, how's it going? And then hear at the end of the year, how did it all turn out? I think it's a really exciting opportunity for the district to pull together as a community over a coherent initiative. So I'd love to hear about it. So that was one suggestion I had made. I know that UDL is also a real priority in the district that the district's been working on for several years now. Would love to hear what the plans are for implementing it sort of in this next phase that we're in. You know, again, and these wouldn't be long presentations because you don't have to say from soup to nuts what's happening.
Yeah.
It would be shorter check-ins, like at the beginning, at the middle, and the end. So we've put sort of placeholders in the presentation calendar for that. Sean, you might want to talk about, I did put something in on, there's an October meeting coming up where you're doing some research about school district rankings, and so we'll talk about that.
Yep. That sounds technical.
We always seem to have conversations about just holidays, but it typically comes too late during the meeting when the school calendar has already been set. Those conversations several meetings ahead of time so that can inform the work on the school calendar. So I guess the message I just wanted to deliver to the committee is that I'm hoping that you'll all treat this as a living document and contribute things that you would like to talk about at school committee meetings, while bearing in mind that we do have to solidify this in respect to the folks that we're asking to present to us, that we're not giving them really short notice. So anything you want to add to that, Kelly?
No, okay. You said it well. I mean, I'm really excited about this. I think, like anything else, we need to figure out ways to feel engaged in the process and engaged in the meeting. So I think that's really important. I mean, all of you have a key role in the part of the district, and part of the team, and together we're successful. So.
Great. All right.
What's your name?
Because we have multi-year, we're here for several years. As we go through this, these are wonderful things to talk about. I'd like to ask that it also includes like honesty about resources and challenges and of all sorts, not as a criticism of anyone, but as a way of saying, hey, in the future, this might be helpful, because it's my understanding, I mean, our role is to help with the budget as well, and to help with planning as well. And, you know, so I would really value that kind of interaction. Make me feel useful.
Yep. You can put it on the calendar.
Awesome.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, there was one more I wanted to mention. you know, as a curriculum person, I get excited about curriculum. And I know that Beth Steele has this amazing spreadsheet that goes out 6 years, like the curriculum review. It's in 10 years. Yeah. So I would love to hear what's up this year and, you know, who's on your team and who are your stakeholders and what are you looking at? So I've got that on October, I think, but love to hear from you. Thanks. Yeah.
Elaine, thank you for your work on this. I love having the year mapped out, knowing that what we're going to hit gives us an opportunity to think about some things to add to the agenda. Your point is valid that we need advance notice on agenda items that we wish to add so that we can be prepared to talk about those things. What's important to me and what I like that we've done in the past is we've tied the agenda back to the district strategic plan. And we have witnessed or been presented information as it relates back to the district's efforts in working toward the strategic plan. Kelly, I appreciate your comment about saying, you know, want to make sure the school committee feels like they're getting something, get what you need out of this. And I would return the favor and say, we want to make sure that, you know, the district feels that they're getting something on the school committee and the community feels like they're getting something on the school committee as well. So it's a partnership all the way around. But thank you for your work on this, and we have some exciting topics coming up.
Yeah.
All right, so we will now move into our second opportunity for interested citizens. So if there's anybody with us presently or on Zoom that wishes to speak before the school committee. So.
Yes, we have one question.
Annalise, you there?
Yes.
Question, please.
Annalise Tabor, 291 Goldsmith Street. In ballot question committee in support of Shaker Lane School. I just wanted to thank you all very much for your endorsement this evening. It goes a long way towards getting public support for this project and just sort of getting it on the radar, because we are still very much finding that people are still not knowing what this project is all about. So it's great to have that public support. I wanted to share that we've also been endorsed by the Littleton Educators Association, Littleton Park and Recreation Commission, Littleton CPAC, which is the Special Education Parent Advisory Council, the Sustainability Committee, and the Massachusetts Teachers Association. So we are very, very excited for all of the public support. And just to speak to the community who may be listening tonight, I just wanted to let everyone know that, you know, our little ballot question committee exists and we are getting bigger. We will start canvassing soon, so you will see us out in the community. If you are able to join us, we welcome the support. You can find us at yesforlittleton.org. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Annalise.
Thank you, Annalise.
We do have another question. Tim?
Hi guys, I'm Tim Buck. Just for me, one, I joined just a little bit late when you guys were talking about the DC trip. Love the idea, glad to hear some enthusiasm behind that. You know, to the extent I'm able to help, I would happily participate in that. The second one is just a question for Dr. Kelly and the school board. Dr. Kelly, you sent out a very nice note to the community last night, and I just want to understand what was the motivation for the immediate response, given that there's also been some other things that I would expect an immediate response from the superintendent, and we haven't gotten those immediate response. And the thing that comes to me as the corollary to that was the student drawing swastikas in the bathroom. And so I noticed no immediate response there, and I noticed a very immediate response with the podcaster who was assassinated yesterday. So we'd love to understand the immediate response, and yeah, that's my question.
Thank you very much, Tim. School committee nor the superintendent's obligated to cover a portion of that earlier in the meeting before you had a chance to join us. And I'll also let you know that if you wish to have that conversation with the school committee or the superintendent, so thank you very much for your comment.
You're very welcome. Thanks, everyone.
You got it. I'm gonna pause to make sure I don't move on. Are we all set with interested? I'm gonna close the second opportunity for interested citizens and move into subcommittee reports. So first up is PMBC. Does PMBC have anything to add other than the Shaker Lane information we've covered?
No.
Okay. Totally fine.
Okay, sorry, can I give a quick update?
You may.
The high school, we replaced 3 rooftop units at the high school over the summer. We did two units in the middle school. Those are up and running. We're still fine tuning those at this point in time, but those projects went well. The biggest thing I want to say is the tennis courts, the new tennis courts at the middle school are done. They're not open yet. They have the court service has to sit for a couple of weeks and they still have to install the nets, but the baseball field, Whitcomb Field, that project would be done about mid-October. They're redoing the field and ordering some dugouts and things like that, so that's still. And then the light project at Jet Field, that was provided by the baseball organization. Future meeting to make that presentation to the school committee. So I just wanted to let everybody.
Excellent. Next on the agenda is budget subcommittee. I'll add, I don't believe the budget subcommittee has much to report. There is no report. However, we should start meeting soon and put some dates on the calendar. I just feel like we've had so many conversations. And the select board, we've been talking about budgeting and how to pay for things that we're always policy subcommittee.
We'll meet next Thursday morning.
Terrific. An update from the Shaker Lane building. Or whole business for the community, the committee. I'll just state that our next is September 25th, 2025, 7 o'clock, Littleton Police Station. I'll make a special town meeting is October 28th, 2025. It is at the ballots if that were to pass for the debt exclusion vote. So there's nothing else. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
That we adjourn.
Motion made by Elaine, seconded by Sean. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have adjourned. Thank you very much.